Sorry, nothing you need to apologize for, brother.
You're a soldier. You always did um push through and make it happen.
I'm gonna continue to try, buddy.
Like that hangover you had after what was it? Kettlebell Killer. That one time you did that
Yeah,
podcast anyway.
yeah, yeah. You're
Fuck
right.
that. Hangovers kick my ass, man. Can't do nothing with the headache.
I'm not hungover today, thankfully.
Coffee? No iced coffee?
Hot coffee today, even though it's getting hot out again over here. All right. Are we rolling?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. Well, before we got started, I did want to. I have a very special message that I want to. Before we get into the subjects of today, I have a special message I want to share. Let's see if this works.
Is it a poem that you wrote?
No, but it's very important. I think everyone needs to contribute and pay attention. All right. Let's see here. Can you see my screen?
Yes. It's
All right.
black.
Here. All right. Here we go. Is the video coming through?
Yeah. That's ridiculous, man. His character's great.
Donate an Natter Day. Donate an Natter Day for the children, people.
I like the flames on the 666.
It's so
It's a really
stupid.
good job. Really good job on that video.
That's all, man. Jai just he just thinks this shit up, man, and it's fucking hilarious. Anyway, they had just posted that right before the podcast. So I was like, oh, let me play this for
So,
them.
for the listeners, that was an advertisement um, from Jesse's band, Golgothan, for Natter Day. Donate a Natter Day to one of the creatures living in this shithole called Earth.
That was great. Anyway, thank you for letting me share that 2 minute message. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. For the listeners, go watch the video.
Yeah,
Subscribe to
it's worth
Patreon.
it. It's worth it for that commercial.
Or just go to Golgothan's page.
Oh, go subscribe to our Patreon,
Yeah, that too.
motherfuckers.
So what's the first one, man? They had some interesting stuff this week.
Yeah. So the first one was about too much gold in the universe, and we do not know where it came from.
Hold on. Is it possible to have too much gold?
Um, I don't think so, but I guess chemically speaking, it is.
You want to screen
But
share your article? Or I can
yeah,
start.
yeah, I can. I'll screen share this first one here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see,
I got
because
everything bookmarked too. I'll have all the links in the show note.
All right. So yeah. So basically, this first article is about how it breaks down how gold is formed, right? Which to make gold, you have to bind 79 protons and 118 neutrons together. Um, and that's basically an intense nuclear fusion reaction. It doesn't happen frequently, at least not nearby. But however, we have a giant trove of gold that we have on Earth and elsewhere in the solar system. So it's like, where did it all come from? And there's basically, it, if I understood the article correctly, there's two ways that this phenomenon happens, right? Collisions between neutron stars or supernovas that basically spin out and send gold out into the universe. Did I understand the article correctly when I was reading through it about that process, about how that chemical process happens?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I gathered too. The collision and it like flipped itself inside out on the other theory. It starts spinning so fast it flipped itself inside out, and all that fresh gold nuclei just goes spewing out.
Yeah. So, I mean, I had to, I went ahead and took a couple definitions down so that while we're talking about this article, we can kind of articulate what these things mean as we're going through it. So, a neutron star, all right. A neutron star is a celestial object of very small radius and very high density, composed predominantly of closely packed neutrons. They're thought to form by a gravitational collapse of the remnant of a massive star after a supernova explosion, provided that the star is insufficiently massive to produce a black hole. And then when we talk about a supernova is a star that suddenly increases greatly in brightness because of a catastrophic explosion that ejects most of its mass. So I just wanted to throw that definition out there. And then we have a star. What you're talking about is a star flipping supernova, which is basically a supernova that was turned inside out during its explosion. That also has shed some light on a phenomenon called a neutron star kick, in which the neutron star formed in a supernova recoils during the explosion. In about a second, the core of the star collapses down from something roughly Earth-sized to a neutron star about 15 kilometers across, or a black hole, which is theoretically 0 kilometers across. And these neutrinos rush outwards, pushing in falling layers of the star back out into space. So that's what a star flipping supernova is.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have all this gold on Earth and elsewhere in the universe, and these phenomenon that we're talking about that has enough energy in order to create this nuclear fusion to create gold is very rare. So in this article, they talk about
Super rare.
There's two stages of this question. Number one is neutron star mergers are not enough, and number two, even with the second source, we still can't explain the observed amount of gold.
Yeah, because it's a rare and the supernova that flips inside out called a magneto-rotational supernova. Did you say that?
I did not say that.
They're very rare, and even when they do happen, the ones strong enough to form gold suck it back into its own black hole, even if it does make gold.
Right.
It's like that doesn't even. Where's all the gold come from? So I never thought of the universe as having gold. I think of I'm thinking of the gold like a gas cloud. Do they mean just gold that you would have to mine estimated from asteroids and shit, or is it like they
They're talking
look
about
out
the
there?
they're talking about the element of gold itself,
Yeah,
like the
but
element of gold found in the periodic table.
how are they observing it? Are they observing it as a gas? Because they see helium and carbon and these things by the light that makes it through. They measure the phase of the light. So they're like, "Oh, this is helium because it's only so much light getting through." Is it gold mixed up with all those gases in the ether, or are they estimating pockets of gold
Uh,
on?
can gold even exist in a gaseous state like that?
That's what I'm wondering because it doesn't
I'm
make
not smart enough
sense.
to know that. Let's find out.
Uh, I never thought of gold.
Oh, yeah, you can. It can exist as a gas. You just need to
So they
heat it
must.
past its boiling point. For gold,
Yeah.
that's 2,856 degrees Celsius, which is 5,173 degrees Fahrenheit.
Ah, dang, that's
Jesus
hot.
Christ.
So I guess it would be out there floating around like a powder. That's weird. I never thought about gold like that in the universe. I would have thought it was like pocketed in asteroids and planets.
Well, so after reading this article, I did a little bit more digging and came across this one when I just kind of did some research. Well, how did gold get to our planet? And this one kind of just breaks down that, hey, gold basically got to us from asteroids and comets that pounded the Earth.
Hmm.
So
It
a
must
little
be
bit
the
of
bulk of the gold out there.
yeah. So apparently asteroids that asteroids with all these heavy metals like iron and stuff like that also carried gold with them. That I guess was formed during the Big Bang, during that nuclear fusion process, and over the millions of years that Earth has been around, um, has slammed into us enough times to have all these deposits. That's basically what I got from it.
Yeah. They gold also forms in volcanoes. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I think I have that bookmarked. Facts
You want to
about
share it?
gold. Gold forms, yeah, forms deep in the volcanoes, like
Let's
6 miles below the surface. All the pressure, sorry, I'm looking for the share screen button. All the pressure forms gold with silica and carbon way down yonder. And whenever the water, I mean, I don't have spots to read from in here. I just remember it. Earthquakes turn water into gold. Yeah, the water lubricates the plate tectonics. The plate tectonics shift, and way below the surface, that's what it was. They don't think volcanoes do it, but earthquakes do, because all
Hmm.
that pressure gets released. And when the carbon and silica and gold shoot up, because there's gold way down there, it shoots up. And then the silica crystallizes over time, and you get quartz. And that's where the gold rush came from, was quartz mines, quartz coming down river with the gold in California. So that's why quartz and gold are found together, because that's where the gold came up from an earthquake. I don't think it creates gold, but it,
But it just resurfaced it more or less
yeah,
from like
yeah,
below like the mantle or around the core.
yeah. The fault jog suddenly opens wider, like pulling the lid off a pressure cooker. So the void vaporizes, flashing steam, forcing silica, which forms mineral quartz and gold out of the fluids. And it doesn't. It takes a while for it to do, but in New Zealand, New Zealand's Alpine Fault, one of the world's fastest, could build a mineable deposit in 100,000 years. So gold out there in the universe, gold coming up from earthquakes.
Yeah, reading just from this other article, so gold, like most heavy metals, are forged inside stars through a process called nuclear fusion. In the beginning, following the Big Bang, only two elements were formed, hydrogen and helium. A few 100 million years after the Big Bang, the first stars were blazing away with their nuclear fires. These nuclear fires forced lighter elements together to make slightly heavier elements, and these nuclear reactions released a huge amount of energy. Gradually, the early stars began making elements such as carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen, working their way up through the periodic table towards iron. Um, Once the earlier stars ran out of light elements to burn, they kicked in on the heavier ones. Finally, as they burnt silicon to make iron, they exploded as a supernova, and for a few short moments, each star would release as much energy as all the regular stars in that galaxy put together.
God
In
dang.
yeah, in that cataclysmic explosion, for the first time, atoms of gold were manufactured and then hurled out into the universe along with other debris from that explosion. on Earth, gold finally reaches us some 200 million years after the formation of the planet when meteorites packed with gold and other metals bombarded its surface.
That's too long. 200 million years?
And then during the
Damn.
formation of Earth, molten iron sank to its center to make the core, and this took with it the vast majority of the planet's precious metals, such as gold and platinum. In fact, there are enough precious metals in the core to cover the entire surface of Earth with a 4-meter thick layer. So what you're saying with the earthquakes definitely makes sense because, during the formation of the Earth, all those precious metals basically sank down into the core, and I guess the earthquakes are generating enough energy to shove the gold out of the core back up towards the crust here.
You
So,
know, when I was on that short tour with Alfred and the Tednators, we met up with Roman. Did I tell you about that?
mm-mm.
Roman was I knew he
Oh,
was living on the Yuba River because I had followed him on Facebook. So I saw that he was at the Yuba River. I knew we were passing that way, so I got in touch with him. Dude, he gave us this cool camping spot location for free and told us where to go. We would have never found this. It was up in Northern California, like an hour out of Sacramento in some mountain little village. And we pitched our tents in these big redwoods for free. I was like, thank you, Roman. So then the next day, we went to meet Roman, and he told us where to go. There's no service, so I'm super surprised. Like we were able to load the map, and so we found his van that he was sleeping in. And he told me there's no service here, so I will leave directions for you on a piece of paper on my van. So I'm like, I guess this is his van. So we're like looking around the van, trying not to seem creepy,
What
trying
the
to.
fuck?
So I found the paper, Roman, like this is so Roman. It was awesome. So I found the paper and he described like you turn around, you go back over the bridge, you take a left. And our music video for Lucky Little Quick Draw is all video clips from that day at the Yuba River where we went meet Roman. I don't think he's in the video. I got a picture of it, but yeah, if you go watch the video of us walking on the trail is us following this paper, like, so that's kind of cool.
He was panning for gold out there, huh?
Yeah, he had tools. He was panning for gold, and he told me he found some. He had a little thing with some
Mhm.
gold in that river, and he there was someone else panning for gold. They found like a big chunk that was worth $100,000.
What?
Yeah, that's what he said.
He,
I believe it.
yeah, but he came and stayed with me for I don't know about 4 or 5 days. Right after I guess he was doing that because he came, he showed
When
me
was
his
that?
gold painting. It had to have been around whenever you guys went on that short tour, I guess, because he drove in his van all the way to Louisiana. He stayed with me down here with his dog, with his husky that he
It
had.
was yeah. It was in the
Yeah,
summer.
yeah. I want to say it was in the summer.
Was
Yeah.
a girl with him?
Yep. She
Okay.
stayed with us too. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. We met her.
Yep. And he showed me his little gold vial that he had.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did he
Roman
tell
lives
you?
a interesting life, bro.
Yeah, I like Roman. Did he
Super
tell
fruit.
you the dream he had?
No,
Oh, you have
maybe
to
he did.
ask.
I don't remember it.
He told us about a dream. It was like a visionary dream where it shut like I forgot how it happened. It was like an orb of white light that was talking to him, and then everything in the dream happened. Like he met the girl and then was at the river. It was a cool story, cool dream. I don't remember
Roman's
the
an
details.
interesting cat, bro.
Yeah,
Interesting dude, bro.
telling us this dream with the Yuba River. Dude, this river was beautiful, man. You got to go watch that music video and check out the clips from this spot.
Yeah, I definitely have to now.
It was cool.
After that story, fucking for sure.
Yeah,
So maybe
yeah.
we should just quit doing all this, quit the podcast, quit bands and everything. We're just gonna go pan for gold, bro. Fuck it.
Bro, we can keep the podcast and just keep Skyping, and we can just live in a van, literally down by the
Well,
river and paying for
well,
gold.
if we're living in a van, bro, we don't have to Skype, bro. We'll just record the shit actually in person together.
I got a waterproof GoPro. We could do it panning for gold.
Fuck yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Quit my job,
I would love to do that.
sell
Have the
my house,
podcast.
sell my fucking possessions.
Yeah, man. A
Fuck
podcast
out
to
of
pay
here.
the bills. You just hit the road and make podcasts. And I mean, who wouldn't want to do that, right?
Well, most of society, I guess. I don't know. Bunch of pussies. Anyway, so yeah, I thought it was an interesting article, man.
Well, they
Uh,
found stuff. The conclusion of the article, right?
yeah, what am I missing here?
I want to load up the bookmark from carbon to uranium.
So past studies were right that neutron star collisions release a shower of gold, but the studies didn't account for the rarity of those collisions. It's hard to precisely estimate how often tiny neutron stars, themselves the ultra-dense remnants of ancient supernovas, slam together. But it's certainly not very common. Scientists have only seen it happen once.
Only once. So
Even
how would it
rough
make all that gold?
Right. Even rough estimates show they don't collide nearly often enough to have produced all the gold found in the solar system. Yeah, but okay, so we've only observed it once. However, I mean, how long have we had the equipment and the
Yeah.
scientific knowledge to even look for these types of events in the universe? When we're talking over the course of billions of years of these events happening.
Yeah.
And then whenever one of these events does happen, how much gold does get released out into the universe, you know? So I get what they're saying. Like it does seem extremely unlikely that these events are the only things that produce gold, but
It would be like in that COVID lockdown article we talked about last week if they took that information and then ran with it and said gold comes from neutron stars colliding. And then all the other scientists are like, we don't have enough data, but they run with it anyway. It's kind of the
right.
same thing. It's like there's just not enough data. Billions of years. Yeah, I mean, it's a long time.
Yeah. I
It's a
mean, we
long
have not
fucking
had
time.
the ability to observe these events for billions of years. We've had it for
Like 100,
like 100 years. Yeah.
maybe.
So, and we've already seen one event. So that's the way maybe
Yeah.
we're our perspective is wrong on that.
But their
Um,
paper, who was it? Kobayashi?
Yeah.
Kobayashi.
So Kobayashi and her colleagues published the in the Astrophysical Journal a paper that let's see here
The link is in the show notes as well. I
published September 15th in that has one
I
big
read
advantage. It's
that journal.
extremely thorough.
Dude,
Um,
I can't make sense of anything in
I know
that
they're
thing.
way too smart.
To reach a deeper understanding of the origin of elements in the periodic table, we construct galactic chemical evolution models for all stable elements from C open parenthesis A equals 12. Hold on, where's that other stuff? M with the little wavy line, 20 to 50 M. What is all this shit?
People way smarter than us figuring this shit out
Yeah.
is what it is.
Okay, continue.
No, you're good.
As
But
you were.
basically, the paper that Kobayashi wrote, it referenced 341 other publications. So it was extremely thorough.
Three
And you,
times as much as the average from what they
yep.
said.
And then using this approach, they were able to explain the formations of atoms as light as carbon 12 and as heavy as uranium 238. Um, and mostly the math worked out. Neutron star collisions, for example, produce strontium in their model that matches observations of strontium in space after the one neutron star collision scientists have directly observed. Magneto-rotational supernovas did explain the presence of europium in their model, another atom that we have had trouble explaining in the past. But gold continues to remain enigma. So I guess the math just isn't adding up on um, the amount of gold we have here on Earth and in the universe, and then what is released in these events when they take place.
And that's why chicks love gold because gold doesn't make any sense. Chicks love things that have drama. You know what I mean? And gold, it's like nothing but drama, you know?
Kobayashi said something out there that scientists don't know about must be making gold, or it's possible that neutron star collisions make way more gold than existing models suggest. In either case, we still have a lot of work to do before we can explain where all that fancy bling comes from.
I know where it comes from, dude.
Aliens.
No, 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 no. See the Magneto rotational supernovas that are large enough to produce gold and then suck them back into their own black hole. The gold comes from we're on the other side of that black hole. We're in the other dimension.
We're in the wormhole.
Yeah, the gold's going through wormholes,
Makes
and then
sense.
it comes into the center of the earth and it comes up.
That's it. We
Yeah.
just solved it. What the fuck are these scientists doing with all these formulas, bro? Just come talk to us.
Yeah, I mean, I applied at all these colleges. I didn't get admitted once. And it's like, why? Why?
You got it figured out already.
What's wrong with
Whatever.
my theories?
Exactly. So yeah, gold. Don't know where it comes from.
Don't know where it comes from.
Now the next article, you get to take that one because
What
it
is
is
this one?
all about uh, quantum physics
Quasi-particle anyons.
and this one confuses the fuck out of me. I tried my best to understand it, but uh, go ahead, take it away.
I got you.
So basically, we have new evidence that the quantum world is even stranger than we thought with these new particles that they're talking about in this article called anyons or anyons. How do you say
Any
that?
anyons because they take on
Anyons.
any kind of
Oh, anyons. Yeah.
anyons. Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to share my notes. I'm sharing this article.
The
Basically,
article is good because it has the actual diagram of the geometric inference
interfer
device,
inter
interference
interferometer.
yeah, interferometer that they use to observe the different states of these particles.
So what happens is the anyons are formed when a large mass of excited electrons parade around each other. And this doesn't happen in nature, only in the lab. So when they braid around each other, the charges that start to get formed are fractional charges. They're a fraction of one charge or a fraction of negative charge. Not protons. Yeah, protons and electrons are the two things they understand. It's like one charge and negative one charge. The anyons have a fraction charge. And they did it. Electrons are fermions, photons of light and radio waves.
See, before we discovered like, or before they really started looking into these anyons, they had two types of particles, right? Fermions and bosons.
Yeah, fermions are electrons, bosons are photons, light and radio waves.
Yep.
And they create the anyons create a non-trivial phase change as they braid or wrap around each other. That gives the anyons a memory of their interactions, which reminds me of blockchain or encryption. Like as it continues down, it encrypts itself, connects to the last, which is very interesting. They identified this anyon by routing electrons through a specific maze-like nanostructure. I will show you this nanostructure. I found something interesting on the nanostructure.
Because of its unique geometrical shape.
FBI pedo symbols.
Are you serious? Oh my God. We find it everywhere, even in talk of quantum mechanics and quantum
So
physics.
if Purdue thinks they're going to get by, they're not. Because I caught them. Something's going on in the basement at Purdue. So they made a nanostructure, called it. That's so wild. An interferometer. They sent the electrons through it. They didn't send it through it. They guided them through it. How did it say that? Look, I made a note. See article pick pedo symbol. It's made of gallium arsenide and aluminum gallium arsenide. The device called interferometer confines the electrons to move in a two-dimensional path. They cooled it to within 100th degree of absolute zero and subjected it to a Tesla 9 magnetic field. The electrical resistance of the interferometer generated an interference pattern. So the magnetic field caused an electrical resistance in this nanostructure while the electrons go through it. And the interference pattern is called a pyjama plot. Pyjama.
Pajama.
The jumps in that pattern were the indicators of the existence of Anyon. I don't know how to read the jumps in the pattern, but you can see it in that original picture. It's offset.
Oh yeah.
So the
In
fact,
the
yeah,
top of the article. Yeah.
I guess this is some electrical current, and it jumps. And the jump must mean there's not a whole number going on with the charge. It must mean it's fractional. So it's like a new quantum particle discovered, but it doesn't happen in nature, only in a lab.
Yeah, and then as they continue to build new interferometers, they'll have the ability to control the location and the number of quasi-particles in the chamber, which will allow them to demand and change the interference pattern that they choose, and which is going to help them, basically in the long run, help us with quantum computing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
So,
convenient.
and then Purdue actually has the labs and the equipment available in order to be able to do that.
I didn't
I thought
understand what they meant.
it was interesting also that um, the characteristic of because the behavior depends on the number of times the particles are braided or looped around each other. They're more robust in their properties than other quantum particles, and the characteristic is said to be topological because it depends on the geometry of the system and may eventually lead to much more sophisticated Anyon structures that can be used to build stable topological quantum computers.
Isn't that wild? I bet the most effective shape would be a pyramid shape. They're probably going to make all their pyramid. Dude, if Microsoft comes out with a quantum
Big
computer,
computer.
dude, they're going to Microsoft's going to come out with a quantum computer for the commercial class for us to buy. It's going to be $29.99.
You mean yeah, not the commercial class, but the public sector.
Public sector.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. Yeah. And it's going to be shaped like a pyramid, and it's going to be black. It's going to be a quantum computer. Dude, I'm telling you. And it's going to use pyramid Anyon structures, and it's going to spy on you. They're going to report you to the local government owned by the company. Just outside of Lafayette, Microsoft's going to have a little government over there.
So
And because you got their little Anyon structure quantum computer, you're contracted to their government. They catch you slipping. Dude, it's dark times ahead. Dark times ahead. But that's pretty interesting that the shape of it, not the amount of electrons together in whatever shape, just what is that? There must be some kind of flow of electricity that changes depending on the path it takes, which is dependent on the shape. It's some weird oblong shape, and you got like a vortex of electricity here.
and they're also putting these electrons in extreme conditions
Yeah.
to
Excited massive electrons under extreme specific circumstances not found in nature. Like they said something weird. At Purdue, quote, we have the technology to grow gallium arsenide semiconductors. What does grow mean?
um I don't know. They might need to.
Or am I overthinking it?
They might literally need to grow it. I don't know. I'm not well versed enough in the science of this to understand it. It might literally be something they have to grow in a lab.
It's weird.
But hey, that's Drew Brees' that's our boy's college, right? Purdue.
Oh, Drew Brees, that's his college?
Yeah, that's where he went to school at.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's in Lafayette, Indiana, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it is. And we played go Gotham played a show in Lafayette, Indiana. That show at a bowling alley that I was telling you about a couple, maybe 4 or 5 podcasts ago, where It was just we were the only band on the show, and everyone was like, "What the fuck is going on?" when we got on stage.
Because y'all dress up, y'all have demonic costumes,
Yeah, if you watch the
not just.
commercial, if you watch the commercial at the beginning of the video, that is the guy doing the talking in the commercial is our singer, and that's how he looks on stage.
Well, that's
So
a mild version because he's at least wearing an everyday shirt. He's not wearing a cape.
yeah, well,
Uh,
sometimes he does just wear it. Sometimes he does wear a shirt like that, but he
okay.
always has contacts in and makeup on and shit like that.
Oh, so it was contacts. I thought it was a
Yep.
special effect. Okay.
But yeah, so I got a chance to, while we were waiting for the show, I got a chance to hang around the Purdue campus and go to a couple record stores and bookstores that were right there. It's pretty cool.
How was that? Any cool books?
Uh, n- Not really. Actually, probably spent more time in the record store than anything.
Oh, you
Yeah.
hipster.
Yeah.
Oh, what were you doing? Flipping through old vinyls of Miles Davis and
No, I was trying to find like
Duke
Britney Spears
Ellington.
vinyls and shit like that. You
Oh,
know.
I found the classic Duke Ellington on Broadway record on vinyl. Oh, it's to die for.
They actually had cassettes there too. It was kind of. I was like, who the fuck is buying this shit?
Hey, I'm shitting. I'm shitting on that, but I got Duke Ellington right here.
Yeah. See, fuck you.
Yeah. I just moved my records into here. Look, Duke. Look, old Duke. Can't
I
see.
can't see.
Got that. It's there. It's there. I also have my CD case autographed by Amberlin. Can't see that either. But remember Amberlin?
Yeah, I do remember Amberlin.
They came to Chi Alpha. They signed my CD case.
Oh, Mr. Famous here.
Yeah. Before they got big. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Oh, that's how they do it. The Anyon structures. I read it earlier. A non-trivial phase change as they wrap around each other. So it has to do with the phases of electricity as they. So it must be the flow of electricity getting.
Yeah, and I
But
thought one of the whole big things about quantum com- quantum computing, quantum mechanics, and we probably sound like fucking morons talking about this, but was that it?
I know I do. I'm all stuttering.
I do. Where? Yeah, I mean, this
No,
is
you
very.
sound good. You're the guy with the good voice. I'm the guy that sounds like he has brain damage.
I probably have brain damage. I've literally had several head injuries. So,
Me too.
uh,
A garage door fell on my head when I was a kid on my soft spot. It hit me twice. I know I have to have brain damage. I have
yeah,
to.
remember that old house on Madison Street? Yeah, you remember the Madison house?
Yeah, you got Drac and fell on your head.
Yeah,
Oh,
knocked out cold.
damn, dude.
Yeah,
That's brutal.
yeah, I was snoring like immediately. So definitely
Oh, it
got.
was like that, huh?
Oh yeah, like I fell off the. Well, I was sitting on the handrail and like we were playing around, and someone shoved me, like just fucking around with me, and I fell. Yeah, that was a pretty tall handrail, and I fell from the handrail and hit my head on the. You know how they had the little stone steps right there?
Yeah.
I hit my head on the stone steps and like landed on the
Who's the
ground.
asshole that pushed you?
I don't remember, but they said I was snoring immediately when I fell. So
Oh.
I just woke up to an ambulance right there. I'm like, what the fuck is an ambulance doing here?
Well, you were
Anyway,
out.
so
You were out that long.
I was out a long time.
Holy
Yeah,
fuck,
I
dude.
was out, and I
Wow.
had bad headaches and shit after that for a while. Yeah, I definitely have brain damage. Probably a little retarded. Um,
Well, I couldn't tell. I know you can tell if you can tell with me. Like, oh, this guy might have some brain damage.
so you listen to podcasts with two people brain damage, folks.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But no, the whole thing with quantum, at least one of the aspects of quantum physics is that the particles change depending on the state, depending on whether you observe them or not. So, is this discovery of these anyons and the way that we're able to make them react by forcing them into these extreme conditions and going through these mazes with this specific geometry,
Yeah.
is
Right.
that allowing us to predict the state in which these particles exist in more accurately, which will allow us to create these quantum computers? Is that kind of what this article is getting at, or am I completely off base and not understanding what the fuck we're talking about?
That's pretty interesting. I don't think the article is getting at that, but I think it naturally connects to that. I think that would be like the part two of this article, is how that, what is that called? The light slit experiment, where when you observe it, it goes right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's because that's kind of at play here, because you are predictively manipulating the performance of those same electrons that under other circumstances you can't predict and manipulate.
Right.
So that might actually be the driving factor behind quantum computers being able, this, the quantum computer possibility might be the part two of understanding that light slit experiment. This might be where that leads. Understanding, yeah, this might be that.
Well, I
Well,
mean, because it alludes to the the ability to build stable quantum computers in the future with this
yeah,
discovery. So, and
that's
which
interesting.
whenever that happens, bam.
There's a lot of observation going on at a quantum level in this experiment. I mean, there's a lot. It has to cross over to that theory. Interesting. See, I think the fall on your head made you like a genius, like Rain Man.
Okay. Sure. Hey, let me go refill my coffee real quick, and then we'll carry on here. Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Second. All right. I'm back.
He's back. So that's it for those Anyon structures, which is pretty wild. I always like breakthroughs in quantum physics.
It'd be really amazing to see what we can do with quantum computers, especially once we get them to a state where they're stable and we can, you know, utilize them for God knows what.
Yeah. What the fuck? I have enough computing power here to do what I need to do. I don't even have a new computer. It's 10 years old. What do I need a quantum computer for? What am I going to do?
Well, I don't
I
know. We
don't
could.
understand. I don't understand. I mean, for rocket ships going to Mars, I get it, but the thing about the quantum world for me is, see, I believe in the spirit realm, but not in the spirit way. I think it's quantum. I think our consciousness and these brain waves that we emit, alpha, delta, theta, and the other ones, I think there's a lot of quantum radio wave activity to do with consciousness and existence. It's not just a meat body. It's quantum. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So after we die, I just think it, ghosts, people see things. If we give them the credit they deserve, it could be quantum apparitions, quantum glitches. Maybe your brain tapped into a signal that glitched because something happened. I just think it might be quantum, what's on the other side. And the more we understand about the quantum world, I think the closer we get to understanding that other side. That's my theory.
Yeah. I mean, that is true. That is weird that some people are more sensitive to spirits, I guess you would say, and shit like that, or even being able to read. You know how like you can meet someone and you just get like a vibe like, hey, this is a fucking bad person. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, the
Or this
whole
is a
gut
really good
instinct
person.
thing, like your
Yeah,
gut.
like where does that fucking come from, right? Is that
I think that's those
something happening
waves.
at the quantum level, or
Yeah.
you
Maybe
know?
we have like a really refined way of taking in the whole energy of a person's body language without articulating it. We can just tell something's off. Or maybe it actually is a mixture of brain waves, and maybe they're putting off weird odors because their body is really unhealthy inside, and we're our guts pushing away from it. I don't know, but yeah, there's a lot of things that happen in the ghost world. I mean, there's so many people that see ghosts. They can't all be full of shit, because most of these people aren't people that even believe in ghosts. Like, I know a guy that doesn't do the whole ghost thing. He's a left brain person. But that person had an experience that they don't talk about, because it was like what, like
Couldn't explain, unexplainable.
yeah, a cup is by my parents' house down the road. The neighbor of me being a kid, that's the neighbor, and their son was my brother's friend, and blah blah blah. And Just remember that house. I went there a few times. In that house, apparently it's super haunted. Everybody that's been there in like my childhood circle of people experienced stuff. And including this person I'm talking about. Something flew across the room and shattered. And that person doesn't even ever talk about the story because they don't buy that shit. But if you
Hmm.
bring it up, they'll be like, "Yeah, I don't know what that was." So I'm just like, man, maybe there's just quantum stuff that happens, little glitches.
Yeah.
Because where
Like
does consciousness go after you die? It's a very quantum thing.
the house that Jai doesn't believe, the vocalist for Golgotha. Jai doesn't believe in ghosts, but so they moved into this house that they're in now, and they had an old lady that had been living there forever, and she died in the house. And dude, he is now convinced that it's haunted, because, and he doesn't believe in ghosts and shit, because like pictures will fall off the wall and shit just out of nowhere, like shit would just go missing for no fucking reason. um just really weird shit. And Jai and his fiance are they have, let's say, just we'll just call it some sacrilegious artwork in their house, and the hanging on the walls, and that's the type of shit that always gets flown off the wall and shit like that. And it happens often, and both
Really?
him, yeah, him and
Wow.
his fiance, or wife, or whatever you want to call her,
Interesting.
are always experiencing that shit. So and it's, that's where we go to record and shit like that. It's definitely a creepy old, just a creepy old house in the Saint Streets in Lafayette. Um,
Weird.
but yeah, he doesn't. But what my point is, like, he doesn't believe in any of that shit. Like, he doesn't believe in ghosts or none of that bullshit.
And it happens
Right?
pretty frequently, I guess,
Yeah,
with it.
pretty
Wow.
frequently.
My
Yeah.
wife believes in ghosts. They're big into ghosts in Thailand. In my wife's village, Pluk Dang, there's this highway that connects to Lyong City. And there was a major fire, if I'm remembering this correctly, that killed a lot of people in like a factory or like a
Hmm.
rubber tree farm or something. And now a lot of Thai people don't drive down that highway at night. It's like a thing, like just not at night. Make sure your car is good. Make sure you have gas if you're gonna go down there, because they see people,
Weird.
and it's like a thing there. Like we don't drive down here a lot at night, or if you do, make sure it's good. And my wife saw a ghost. And my wife's not conspiracy, she's not into that
Yeah,
stuff.
she's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, yes, yeah, she's pretty reasonable.
She's not brain damaged like us.
Yeah, yeah. Um, she was a nurse, and they wait at the front of their hospital with big glass windows, and they admit people that come in because they get
Hmm.
dropped off at this big circle thing, so you could see everything. And there was an old man at the window. A car came in and left, and nobody helped the old man. I think Ford went away to do something and came back. She was like, "Did anybody help the old man?" And um, they said, "What old man?" And she described this old man, and they were all there. Like I went over the story with her several times, just the other day, like a week ago, week and a half ago. We went over it again, and she said, "No, we can all see. We're all there to watch for people, so they're all there watching. She's the only one who saw the old man. Nobody else saw him." And they spent like 10 or 15 minutes walking around the complex looking for him,
What?
and they never found him. And Ford's like, it must have been a ghost because it sounded like they were busy. I was like, wait, so are they helping patients? Are they over here? Are they over there? She's like, no, we're there watching. I'm the only one who saw this guy. And we never found him. Well, they never found him after they looked forever. So that's a weird story that she holds on to. And she's not a conspiracy. Like, she doesn't have to.
Has she had any other ghost experiences or spirit experiences?
Maybe, but that's the only one I remember her telling me specifically. So, just the whole ghost thing. I've never seen a ghost. I know I feel really strong energies if I go somewhere I know is haunted, which I
Right.
don't often go. But sometimes you go to a place. like Hook. Hook. What's that Hook? It's this bridge outside of Crowley, Roberts in Roberts Cove.
We went there together.
We did
Yeah.
long time ago.
Well, it's you go through rain to get to it, right? You take the rain exit,
I only
and
remember
there's a
going there
bridge.
once, and it was before I knew you. So you and me went there again?
Maybe I went there without you, but I know the bridge you're talking about. It's in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I want to say it's a gravel road too. When
Hmm.
you get to it and you
Maybe
get
we
to
drove
this,
through it.
yeah.
But I remember this one time we got out the car and we are going to walk to the location of apparently whatever happened. And I was terrified, dude. Like, I don't really give a fuck about being out in the dark if I'm with people, just
Yeah.
out there in the woods. But I was like, I couldn't shake it. I couldn't shake this absolutely terrified feeling I had.
I mean,
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just a mindset. You're going in there knowing it's haunted and everyone's building it up. But I was
that
truly
could be
terrified.
like a placebo type of effect.
Yeah, very well
Yeah.
could be.
I don't know. I'm kind of with you. Like I'm skeptical, but there's also too many people that have had experiences and stories for me to just completely say, oh, there's nothing to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think like
Like I
there's
haven't personally experienced it, so it's hard for me to be like, oh yeah, there's definitely ghosts out there, spirits, roaming. But you know, I know too many people that have had those experiences that don't necessarily subscribe to that thought pattern, and
yeah. I also think there
it
could be good quantum explanations to
right, and it
the
could be.
paranormal realm.
Yeah, you're right. This could be something that's happening at the quantum level that we don't have the understanding to grasp yet.
Because all the crazy stuff that happens out there in the universe. I mean, you're talking the electron quantum entanglement, where the same electron can be across the universe and react immediately with no delay. They're like one and the
Yeah,
same. There's the black holes, just the existence of that. Supernovas, the forming of galaxies. I mean, the things that happen in reality, like right now, happening out there, are so wild. How could there not? How could it be ridiculous to think there's a quantum explanation to maybe another dimension glitching in and out, or somebody's conscious energy is still lingering? I don't know.
yeah, yeah,
I go back to the Egyptian Book of the Dead and how the Orion rituals, the Osirian ritual is about going to Orion, the journey through the stars, your soul. It's like, what if that? Because science is going full circle back to Eastern mysticism, because we thought they understood what the fundamental nature of existence was, which was the atom, and then now in our modern world, which I think I talked about this before, that's why CERN exists, is because they still don't understand the fundamental nature of an atom. Because whenever you break it down, there's nothing there. So it's like it circles back to ancient Taoist Eastern mysticism. How I don't know. I don't know how to form that thought, but our understanding of physics crumbles at the quantum level, and in
yeah,
a way, a lot of the logic returns to Eastern mysticism, where it's like your mind controls the matter. If you observe the electron, it changes behavior, like your mind. And then at the fundamental nature of like this speaker or these atoms, there's nothing there, because at the heart of that atom, there's like so much space between the electrons that there's actually more space in this matter than there is matter. It's like everything just kind of crumbles. So I just think like I forgot what I was saying, but quantum physics I think is the answer to the spirit side.
think you might be onto something there with that. I mean, we really don't have a great understanding of what's happening, obviously, in quantum physics. We're still learning about it. Uh,
Maybe I too became a genius right
yeah,
after the
I think
garage
so.
door landed on my head. I was also bombing down the hill at Girard Park on my bike one day. I was like
Oh
13.
yeah,
I hit a pothole over the handlebars, boom, right on my head. Huge flash. I got up all wobbly. Mm. So
brain
that took
damage.
Yep, took a hard hit there.
Brain damage.
So the next one was the
Uh,
Stonehenge sound properties, which there really wasn't much there
no,
other than
was it?
something cool.
Yeah, I just so they basically built a small scale model of Stonehenge that tested the acoustic properties of it.
A
Um,
1/12 scale.
1/12 scale with a 3D printer. Um,
They
and they
even
were go
recreated
ahead.
they even recreated the stuff that's not there anymore because it was destroyed. Like the original Stonehenge layout. They made sure to put, I guess there's some big boulders that are broken and shit, so they rebuilt it with laser scan.
Which we know from a previous episode that Stonehenge was potentially constructed as a scale model of the Earth and the Moon.
Mm-hmm.
Go listen to our Randall Carlson episodes for information on that. Um, yeah, so they recreated it, even the missing components, like you're saying. They treated the let's see here. They even treated the simulated stones were treated to replicate the acoustical properties of the actual stones in England. They set up speakers and microphones in and around the model and tested its acoustical features. The testing consisted of playing chirping noises that went from very low to very high frequencies, and then data from the microphones was recorded and analyzed. Um, they found that the physical properties of stones, such as the makeup and shape, contributed to the reverberation inside the monument. More specifically, that they found that the time of decay to 60 decibels was zero point 0.6 seconds inside the monument, but not outside of it. Such a degree of reverberation would have enhanced verbal communications inside the monument. It would have made music and drums sound better, kind of similar to the way it is done in music recordings today. Um, they also noted there would not have been an echo due to the way that the stones were arranged, with some placed just outside of the circle. And they don't think it was built strictly for its acoustical properties, but um, it's just an added feature of it.
I thought it was interesting that they found up to 60 decibels, there's zero point 0.6 seconds of reverb. How it was consistent to be on that 60 numerical value of the ancient Babylonian system.
Yeah, 666.
And the 60 minutes in an hour, 60 seconds in a minute, 30 days in a month,
But
60.
how fucking smart were they to have figured that out back then with none of the instrumentation that we have today? How to construct this structure that would allow it basically be kind of like I don't know, I guess an amphitheater that didn't require a PA if you're hosting these events and probably doing these rituals.
Hosting these events.
Well, probably rituals related to observing the cosmos.
Like a big murder ritual. All right, everybody, just a few announcements. Thanks for showing up. There's like a dude tied down on the rock.
There's probably some of that shit going on too. But yeah, they were pretty smart to have figured out how to construct that to where they can basically project their
Do you,
voices.
do you think it was chance or you think that was deliberate? Because that seemed like a pretty good reverb. Zero point 0.6 seconds of reverb. If you're a mixing person and you add reverb to a dry track, it creates a lot of depth. It really makes it bigger and you can hear it better. So it really does make a difference, a good reverb on your voice if you need to. Do you think it was by chance? Because that's pretty specific. Zero point
Mm,
0.6 seconds. How did they measure 0.6 seconds back in the day?
I don't think it's by chance because if you look at the way that Stonehenge was constructed and then the accuracy with which it was built in terms of being a model of the Earth and the Moon and the orbit between them, they did a lot of things. What it seems like super deliberately. I mean,
Yeah,
we don't know for sure, right? This is just purely speculation, but
I'm just thinking it's much harder to measure the duration of sound back in the day without devices than
maybe
it
they
would
had
be.
devices.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so that reminds me of the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Are you familiar with Thoth? Toth?
No,
Hermes Trismegistus,
No, break it down.
the god of wisdom and science and math and stuff. He, in Greek or Roman mythology, he's Hermes Trismegistus that taught everybody, or whatever. But in super ancient times, it's Thoth. And he
Super
allegedly,
ancient times, like Sumerian times, like that
yeah,
old.
as far back as it goes, he's the guy. He's one of the Atlantean. He's one of the Atlanteans, one of the children of light. Because back in the Atlantis days, there were like 12 gods that were beyond human, but they were living as human in a physical body. And they recruited some humans to be in with the sacred knowledge and the sacred wisdoms. And Thoth was one of those humans. So he was given,
Sacred knowledge.
yeah, he was given all the science and all the stuff. Allegedly, he would be the guy that taught us agriculture and everything at Göbekli Tepe, because science still doesn't know how our like agriculture came out just out of nowhere. They don't really know. But Thoth allegedly built the pyramids.
Hmm.
He is allegedly the builder of the pyramids, and he talks about having left a chamber under the paw of the Sphinx with secret wisdom in it. And they have done laser scans and they found these chambers. They haven't gotten into the chambers yet. So that's what's really interesting.
Hmm.
But they
Why haven't
found
we gotten into the chambers yet? Is it they
you
just don't
gotta
want
there's no entrance. You gotta like destroy your way through it. They wanna
to
do more
preserve?
scans. They
Yeah.
want to just take their time and do more scans, and you've also got big academia in Cairo, Egypt. That you got the crooked part of it all. They don't want this truth to get out. They want to like, slow down. I got my whole career on this thing.
Yeah, I was watching
All that.
something on Netflix. There's this thing on Netflix about this tomb they were uncovering in Egypt, and I watched a documentary on it, and yeah, the way they it's a whole industry over there, Egyptology and the archaeological aspects of it, and like them getting funding for the government, like they have to present some type of findings or else they won't get funding for the next year from the government.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. It's like you got to make a discovery.
yeah, yeah, and then they don't like, the other thing is they don't like outsiders, they don't like foreigners coming over, foreign archaeologists coming over and actually um, participating in the study of this stuff, because they feel like it's their history. They should be the ones that own it, and it's also it's taking jobs from them when we do that. So it feels like there could be a little bit of corruption in there that slows the progress on what we can discover from all the ancient shit that's over there in Egypt.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, there's a lot more to the process than just finding the truth. It turns into just X's and O's paperwork bullshit.
it was pretty amazing though, like seeing them pull like these. They found like this goddess statue. They just pulled out of the like as they're doing digging, pulling out of the stand. I was like, I just couldn't imagine the feeling of like being over there, digging through a bunch of fucking sand, and all of a sudden you find this thing that's like 4,000 years old that has not been touched in like thousands of years, and you're the first person to uncover it and touch it. I can imagine it's just such a overwhelming.
And then you break it. You break the ear off. Like, oh fuck.
Well, man, they it's all in pretty good condition too, because it's just been buried by sand for thousands of years, and yeah, it was pretty cool. I need to go finish it. I started watching it, but yeah, that was one of the things I was thinking. One of the thoughts I had while I was watching it, I was like, Dylan would probably be pretty interested in this, in the political side of it. How
What show was it?
I'm gonna get the name of it.
Was it
It's
that?
something about a tomb. It's the tomb of somebody.
Is it that little small mummy they found in Peru? I watched that documentary on Amazon about a small ancient
Secrets
mummy
of the
and
Saqqara tomb.
maybe it,
Secrets of the Saqqara tomb.
okay. Amazon?
Nope, it's on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
If you need my login, I'll give it to you.
Word. Yeah, Thoth. So he allegedly built the pyramids, but it comes from his emerald tablets. which apparently are a real thing. The Emerald
Out-
Tablets of Thoth were discovered, and this is what it's just like this 4-part story of him talking about where he comes from, who he is. He's a children of light. He talks about the underworld, a world under the skin, under the surface, where all the children of light move to, and the men of the earth stay on the surface. They live forever because they have a river of life that replenishes their life. There's some things in here that seem pretty literal. I just finished the Tablets of Thoth, but he has a paragraph where he talks about striking his enemy with his staff of vibration. I struck him with my staff and he flew back. I'm paraphrasing. I struck him with the vibrations from my staff from far away. It's basically what he said. There's a lot of these little paragraphs peppered throughout where it's like, man, this is a literal statement right here. How would back in the day, let's say it was some delusional poet making up a story, let's say Thoth isn't real, this is all bullshit. How would they have the concept as a writer to come up with a staff of vibrations that strikes you down from far away?
I don't know.
I mean, that long ago, because it wasn't until conventional knowledge, the Greek Renaissance era, where science is really started to boom. But it's like they apparently had these understandings of things long before that. So talking about devices measuring 0.6 seconds of reverb back in the day building Stonehenge, was it on purpose or not? If you take into consideration Thoth or Thoth, and if he's real or not, a real Atlantean, dude, that's a whole can of worms, man. Because the second you start entertaining if Thoth is real or not, you got to entertain the 12 children of light that gave us science and then retreated back to the underworld. It's like it's a slippery slope, but it's a fascinating reality that most science continues to support. The more they find chambers in the pyramids, the more they prove that it wasn't Khufu or Cheops that built the pyramid. Because this is the other thing, is that the alleged builder of the pyramid, Cheops, Khufu, he was recorded to have been looking for the ancient wisdom that was said to be buried and they looked here and looked there, wherever it could be, and never found it. But he wanted to know how many secret chambers Thoth had in his pyramid so that he could build his pyramid the same. But they called it a horizon. I want my horizon to be the same. Back in the day, they called it horizon. So the person that conventional science says built the pyramids didn't. It's just his inscription in the pyramid.
And so there's like actual.
So they attribute it to
Uh,
him, but it's he didn't build it. They might have
there's
remodeled it.
there's text like that they found that have him referencing the horizon of Thoth.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and find it. It's in one of these books I'm reading, but the whole story of Khufu, Cheops, the builder of the pyramids, that he was looking for the original text that explained how Thoth built the pyramids and how many chambers he put in it. But conventional science says that Khufu built the pyramids. He didn't. He was just the king at this time when they remodeled it and put his inscription in there.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that they
So the pyramids are older
credit.
than 4,000
Yeah,
years. They have certain types of weathering.
they credit him. They credit Cheops with building the pyramids, but then he references a pyramid built by Thoth, which would obviously have been there before he was born, right?
Yeah, the pyramids are old as fuck. And allegedly, Thoth built them, and he's the original guy who was given knowledge from the original gods of Atlantis before the Great Deluge. That also Thoth talks about in his Emerald Tablets. They talk about the flood that destroyed Atlantis and sank it below the sea, and we lost the knowledge and we lost it all. Like they talk about that time,
That
and
was the
that's the
last ice age.
yeah, and that's the Great Flood. So it's like shit, man. If Atlantis is real and Thoth is real, and these children of light are kind of a thing, there might be an underworld, and it might be below the Arctic, and that's why the Soviets, the Russians, and all that is protecting the true North Pole. You can't go there. I think there's a lot of big stuff happening, man, about our past with aliens and giants and really smart higher races of people that were destroyed in the Great Deluge. And thanks to the Roman way of doing things when they took over, we like nobody really you either believe the Bible in a spiritual literal manner or you just think it's bullshit and you're an atheist. There's no like middle ground on what the actual ancients were like.
Right. Is
So yeah, about the device to measure sound. If Thus is a real thing and he had that staff of vibration where he could just strike a dude down. Because you also got Poseidon with his lightning rod, which is 3 hot, neutral, and a ground. We're
fair,
doing,
yeah.
you know what I'm
You,
saying? Like
yeah.
if he could manipulate lightning and they had some kind of, because all it takes, like we were talking about the brain waves earlier and the quantum thing, if you're a higher race than humans and you can use that other 98% of your brain that we can't, do you know what I'm saying? Like we
Yeah.
use like a small percentage of our brain. There's a higher species that can unlock that, like what these ancient gods allegedly were. All it is a higher skill level of manipulating these waves. So if you have like a staff that is like, tuned to conduct electricity or whatever, and you have the ability,
Frequencies.
because we're doing it now, like you're the Neuralink in the brain and you trigger it, or we kind of got these little things now. If you're super advanced and you can just trigger some waves through a staff, hey, it's
Yeah.
possible, man.
Or maybe we just need to do enough psychedelics to unlock the other 98% of our brain.
Yes, man. But like that little ball you put your hand on and the lightning goes to your fingertips,
Mm-hmm.
it's like
Yeah.
that right there shows you our connection to the quantum world. Like we attract the lightning. There is something there if you could just learn to manipulate it. I don't know, man. It's a crazy world.
Yeah. Well,
We need to do an episode on Thoth and the
all right.
pyramids, deep dives.
Let's do it. And ghosts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the
And
next one
ghosts.
is the priest's meter hat. I like this one. Did you ever read about this or hear about this? The hat
Um,
that the priest wears?
so other than no, I didn't not in detail. So
Let me go
like
ahead and screen share.
whenever I was growing up, I grew up Baptist church and not a Catholic church. So
Yeah, me too. Not Baptist. It was
I didn't have a lot of this symbolism that carries over in the Catholic Church that is obviously borrowed from pagan religions and ancient Babylonian uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Just ancient Babylonian practices. But I thought it was interesting. I did find contradicting evidence, not evidence, but contradicting arguments against this article. But let's go ahead and talk about it first. So,
okay. Yeah, so the
uh,
Roman bishop of the Catholic Church is often wearing a mitre, M-I-T-R-E. And this mitre is like a fish's head,
fish mouth.
fish mouth. You can see pictures here. The Pope puts it on at the ceremony where the cardinals praise him, whatever. So those 2 horns at the top represent a fish's mouth, which was worn by the ancient Babylonian and Philistine priests of the Dagon or the Dogon. So the whole question is, was the Pope's mitre hat directly adopted from this Babylonian ritual? And it appears to be so because the cloak represents the fish's body, because the ancient priests in Babylon would wear a fish's head and then the scales would drape down over his body. That's what the priest wears now. The ancient Babylonians worshipped Dagon, the god of agriculture, plenty food, and good fortune. The mitre hat that is worn by Catholic priests, cardinals, and the Pope represents Dagon, the Babylonian fish god. Um, as the Pope bears the key of Janus, so he wears the mitre of Dagon. The excavations of Nineveh, right here, prove this. Look at that. They excavated this at Nineveh, and apparently this is an old Jesus Christian site or something, and he's wearing this hat. that comes from the ancient Babylon
Mm-hmm.
priests. I mean, that's a straight up big statue. Look how creepy that is, man. This is crazy. Like, I think about this. If the world is this random thing of meat sack bodies that evolved over time to become smart, you know, if you really think about the stuff that ancient cultures did and left behind, it's really wild. All these big statues and monuments and this natural inclination for humans to form religions. And even more so, it's all consistent globally. It's like it doesn't, Earth and humanity doesn't have to be the way that it's been, but it is the way that it's been. So, in one perspective, you could overlook it as nothing special, like the Mayan pyramids and just whatever ancient thing that's ancient remnant or relic. On the one hand, it's not special because it's just ancient shit and that's how people evolve. And on the other hand, it's like, hold up. This didn't have to happen, but it did. It's just really, I don't know how to word that thought, but it's really trippy if you get high and just think about these statues ancients have left behind. Like, what do they mean? It's so weird. I
Could
don't
be
think that
them
makes any
trying to leave
sense.
their mark, their mark on Earth, their way to preserve themselves past death, honoring the gods and the idols that were of their time. But I get what you're saying though. It requires a lot of effort to do so. Build
It's a
these
very
giant
special,
statues and
like, it's a very special thing for people to do in a natural course of evolution. That's what I'm saying. Like, those two don't seem to go together. Like, humans evolve, and so do these global religions that require all this work to build these statues and these monuments that are sacred. Like, how does that sacred spiritual side naturally come from evolving as a human? If it is like that, or maybe it really does come from something, which is that maybe these gods are real and maybe these rituals do echo back to truth. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
if it's not true, it's really wild. This is the natural process of evolution. Does that make any sense?
yeah. I get what
Like,
you're
if
saying.
it's just random bullshit, that's really weird, but we don't seem to think about it. And if it's not random bullshit, then it's true, which is wild. It's like either way, something really wild is happening just by looking at this statue. It's like ancients did this statue. That's so weird.
It's required a shitload of work.
Is that the is that the manifestation of evolution? Just simply put, if people evolve on any planet in the universe, they'll make statues and religions? Or does that actually come from a truth in the past? A fish god, Orion, that came down and lived at the pyramids because the Sphinx was built, it was all water, man. It was all water. So was he a merman living right there and going under in the water? Because that's what all the records are. He lived in the water. He came out of the water onto land and stuff. It's really wild, man. I don't even
That's
know if,
the records of the fish god Dagon.
well, first, a lot of all the different cultures call it something different and have a different story. It's the same thing. But yeah, like ancient Babylon, this whole thing about the pyramids and Orion. See, Orion was like a fish god too, or something like that. It's like half some. I might be mixing this up, but yeah, it's like a fish god that built the pyramids and then lived in the water, and then now it's all sand and desert. But back in the day, it was lush, fertile jungle with higher sea levels or something, river, the higher Nile River or something. I'll have to
Yeah.
look into that, but it's there. That theory is there. So the meter was a turban, the papal meter,
Papal.
not papal, not to be confused with the meter of Aaron and the Jewish high priest, which is what we're talking about here. So the turban is also called a meter, but that's not it. There were two ways in which Dagon was anciently represented. He was depicted as half man, half fish, the upper part being human, bottom part being fish. Which is weird because you got The Little Mermaid, this Disney movie, again, steering people away from this idea of half man, half fish. We were never taught about this ancient half fish, half man god, but we definitely knew about mermaids and how they weren't
Yeah.
real. That's really strange.
Where did mermaids come from? Like
Yeah,
the
like
myth of
uh,
mermaids.
you mean to tell me another big Disney movie captured ancient myth perfectly? All these writers are just experts on ancient mythology. So weird. It's almost like there's a conspiracy of to keep the truth away from people by hiding it in plain sight.
Yeah, I mean that's. We'll talk about another article whenever we're off of this one that I read right before the podcast that kind of ties into that. But yeah, I agree with that. Like hiding shit in plain sight and then not thinking critically about it.
I'm gonna fill up my coffee. That was a perfect pause.
Okay.
So there's one last thing about the Dogon, and I got this from this book I read. It's not in the article. They discovered their tablets, the ancient Dogon tribe that was like 5,000 years ago. On their tablets, they recorded Sirius A and Sirius B.
Sirius A and Sirius B.
Yeah, because everything's about the Sirius star, and there's another thing connected to the star religion. Um, Sirius A and Sirius B, they recorded in their tablets the rotation period of these planets, and they got it accurate. The
What?
next the next big breakthrough was also the Dogon tablets recorded Sirius C, the invisible star, and they named it after the smallest seed on Earth that also produces the largest crops. Because this small invisible star that they predicted on this tablet or recorded on this tablet was like said to bring life to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Small star, all this. Only from discovering Sirius C, the invisible star that is orbiting with A and B, that was in the 50s. 50 years later, did NASA actually discover the existence of Sirius C? Only because they knew to look for it because of these Dogon
What?
tablets. An invisible
What?
star. Yeah, an invisible star that they couldn't find unless they knew to look for it because of these tablets.
And that's from Babylonian times?
5,000 years ago, the Dogon tribe.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and the whole thing about that was that's where life came from, if I'm remembering correctly. We'll do a deep dive on this too.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, but it's the invisible star that was small and gives a lot of life.
That is
Pretty
fucking crazy.
pretty crazy, right?
Yes, very much so. Uh, I didn't. So, like I said, if you look a little further down in the article, they have some arguments against the thought that the Pope the Pope's mitre hat was modeled after the priest hat of Dagon. Um,
Is this in that same article?
yep, it's in the same article, and then I found another article about it, which that person seems to be referencing someone named
I'm gonna
that
share
maybe
that
had
article.
named Bosco that might have been arguing this. But basically, if you
Can you
read like
can you share it? I want to
yeah, I
see it.
can. Well, first I'm still in the same article you're on right now, but
Okay, we'll share it because I just unshared.
yeah, it's okay. So it's if you read this part at the bottom, so actually the most distinctive papal headgear, the one that popes used to be drawn wearing in political cartoons to distinguish them from ordinary bishops, is what is called the Papal Tiara, a tall conical shape with three crowns around it, one above the other. Of course, the popes have rarely worn the Papal Tiara in the last 50 years or so, so younger people might not be familiar with it. So I looked up Papal Tiara. That's what it looks like right here.
Ooh, it's beautiful.
So not necessarily reminiscent of the Dagon fish hat. Um, it goes on. The bishops' mitres are mitres worn by Roman Catholic bishops. Um, and by bishops of some Protestant denominations, mostly in religious ceremonies, were originally conical cloth hats. Over the centuries, mitres became taller and split into left and right parts, and the design was turned 90 degrees, and they were worn split into front and back parts. So that's where, what they're basically alluding to is the fact that actually the older versions of the papal hat was more conical shaped rather than the shape of the open fish mouth that we see in more modern times. And then, I found this other article that goes on to talk about it.
Wait. Can you back up to that conical hat again?
Yeah.
Can you say that again? Just that thing you just said.
Well, originally, back, I guess, whenever the Roman Catholic religion was started, they wore conical cloth hats rather than,
which is just a cone, right?
Yeah. Think of it like this without the crowns on it, right?
Okay.
Actually, this gives you a picture of it right here. This is the development of it over time.
It looks like the original prototypes for condoms.
And then eventually made its way to what appears to be like the fish hat of Dagon. So, and then I found this article which kind of dives into it a little further. The earliest Christians were Jews, and it is from the Jews that the headgear and the word to describe it comes. The word mitre comes from mitzenfet, which is a fairly obvious origin. This person seems to be arguing with this guy named Bosco. I don't know who the fuck she's talking about, or he or she is talking about. If you examine the picture of a Jewish high priest on the right, you will see other examples of Christian borrowings. So yeah, it was apparently that the word mitre was originally a Jewish term for mitzenefet, and that's what that would have looked like.
That's what I say when I go to Domino's. They're like, "What do you want on your pizza?" I'm like, "I want meats and a feta."
Meats and a feta.
That was stupid. I'm sorry I wasted everybody's time with that dumbass joke.
So yeah, it could be that the more modern forms of the hat were borrowed from the Dagon fish hats that were worn in Babylonian times, or it could just be a coincidence, right? So I have to throw the opposing evidence out there as well, right? I think that's only fair. It's the only way we can be a good conspiracy podcast, right? We got to show both sides of the story.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. But I don't believe the other side. I believe no. No, do you think that was on do you think it's accidental? Because here's my thing.
I don't know.
There's so many other connections between Catholicism and ancient Babylon that for the hat to be chance, slim pickings on that one. I think it's another. I think it's just another continuation of ancient Babylon.
I agree. I agree that there's a lot that was borrowed from ancient Babylonian practices that are incorporated into the Catholic and Christian churches. But like I said, I wanted to present both sides of the evidence here. I think it's only fair.
That's good. That's good.
But yeah, so
pretty trippy though.
Fish hats.
Just the idea of the Roman Catholic Church continuing Babylonian stuff and seeing all the symbology is where
I think all of that shit is just the Bible and everything is just like we talked about maybe 4 or 5 episodes ago. It's just star poetry, right? Just hidden inside of all these stories that they talk about in the Bible.
I think that's there. I'm leaning towards some stuff actually might even being literally true, like the story of the Great Flood. It's just the question would be, who is God? Who is the God that gave Noah the blueprint? Was it a children of light from the ancient Atlantean
Tough.
race. Yeah. Was it one of those guys that came out of the underworld and was like, ooh, you got to build a ship because solar radiation's coming to change the climate? And then he went right back in the underworld.
Maybe so.
You know, who is this god? And then story of giants, David and Goliath, the giant, because there's a lot of evidence about giants that they don't let out. Giant bones that are found, they don't put in the museum. They
I want
confiscate.
to do an episode on that too.
Yeah, I got a good book. I can send it to you. It's yeah, we can do that. Got a lot of deep dives. I'm already read on these books. I have to go through again and research. You'll have to get the book and then read them and
Yeah, I
do some
know.
time. It's all good. We'll pick one. I'll send you one of these books. I'll send you the title of the book. You'll have to buy it. I can't actually send it.
Yeah, I got you.
Fucking giants and shit.
Yep. All right, and then we have one more that I sent you that's more along the political.
Yeah, y'all thought we were gonna get through an episode without ranting on coronavirus masks, didn't you?
This
No,
is
I'm
not
joking.
about coronavirus masks.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people have already heard this, but I thought it was pretty amazing how critical race theory is now permeating into corporate culture and all these corporate trainings. So CocaCola recently got put on blast by an internal whistleblower by putting trainings out that is urging their employees to be less white. And that's part of their way to confront racism. And then if you look at the screenshots on Dylan's screen there, um, what does it mean to be less white? So apparently if you're white, you're oppressive, you're arrogant, you're certain, you're not humble, you don't listen, you don't you break with apathy, or you have apathy. And anyway, so it's like they're combating racism with racism against white people now. But apparently you can't be racist against white people according to critical race theory. And yeah, I just thought it was fucking amazing that this is now there have been people that have been warning about this for a while now,
And
like
it's
people
been
like
crazy
James Lindsay
conspiracy theory talk.
and yep, it's crazy. Like, oh, that's not coming to pass. Yep, well, it's now coming into some of our biggest corporations in the country,
Schools in New York and
schools,
California are pushing they have to take
and
these classes.
to be clear, man, I do want the world to be better for black people, brown people in my life that I know and love, and I don't want them to experience any forms of racism against them.
Yeah, because it's
I
definitely a
don't.
thing.
Yeah, it's absolutely a fucking thing. And I, grew up in the South. I know there are fucking racist people, especially down here. Still to this day. Um, but this is the wrong way to go about it, in my opinion.
That's
Like,
exactly because if you want to make a real change, this it reminds me of this video of a trans that I saw the other day with a kid. She was talking to the kid, and she said, "Are you a boy or a girl?" And the kid didn't want to answer. He was like really shy. And the trans woman that was formerly a male said, "Do you like to tackle boys and play rough, or do you like to dress up in pink and play with dolls?" And she was like, "I like to
it's like
play rough." And she was
lead,
like,
leading
"Okay, then
question.
you're a boy then." But my whole thought was, it is a leading question, but it's my whole thought was that's the exact misogynistic gender stereotyping logic that this whole movement is trying to get away from.
Right.
Like, just because someone wears makeup doesn't mean you're a woman. Just because you're a woman doesn't mean you have to wear makeup. Just because you're a man doesn't mean you have to do this and that and that. But the very logic of the LGBTQ in this situation, not to lump everybody in there, in this situation is that logic. Do you like to wear makeup and dress in pink, or do you like to play rough? Oh, well, then you're a boy or girl. It's the exact same logic they're trying to get away from that they're using for their movement. And it's this too. They're trying to get away from racism, so they're using racism. And it's so obvious, it's hard to explain, and it's mind blowing. People don't get it. All you have to do is watch that trans person. And I delivered when I lived in Bellingham. I delivered to a lot of trans people, and that's fine. But like, I've always noticed that the guys that want to be the girl and be trans, they they wear a dress and they do all the feminine things. And that's the exact misogynistic logic you're not allowed to have, is that if I'm going to be a woman, then I got to wear a dress and makeup. Does this make sense? It's so obvious. It's mind-blowing. You have to even explain it. Like, this is the logic. I can't have this logic. I can't say, "Oh, you're a woman, you're not wearing makeup." That's crazy. I would be like such a sexist pig. Toxic white masculinity. But if you're a trans, the logic is, I want to be a woman, so I'm going to wear makeup. I'm going to wear a dress. And that's just what this is right here. It doesn't help the problem. It perpetuates the same logic in a different direction.
It's coming to our schools, it's coming to our companies, it's coming to our government. And
these companies are going to be their own government. They're going to buy plots outside of Nevada, 75 square miles or more. The city is going to usher them into a position of their own governance. And it's not even going to be company policies. It'll be like corporate slash governmental. It's so fucked up where this world's going.
it's a fucking scary, slippery slope we're going down now.
It's not sustainable, though. And the good thing about Trump is that everybody woke up. Whether they're right or wrong, stupid or not, they're awake. So now everyone's paying attention and getting what they want. So the only hope is that they're going to see this shit doesn't really work, though.
Yep. Critical race theory is one of the scary fucking things to come out of this movement, and
Yeah.
it's basically, it's like, the thought behind critical race theory is not, hey, when you have an interaction with people, it's not, hey, was there any racism that manifested itself in that interaction? It's like, it's basically saying, no, there was racism in that interaction no matter what. You got to figure out where it was and where it came from. Is basically how they're positioning everything now. It's fucking wild, man.
How do you be
And
less
it's not
white?
logical. It's not logical.
It's not logical. Like
It's not
trying to
logical at all.
trying to be less white means I have to apply racist logic to myself and go, what is all the shit white people do? And then I got to do the opposite. It's that same logic.
Yeah, the way I confront racism, if I see someone treating someone else in a racist manner, you fucking put a stop to it. You fucking stand up to them and you fucking call them out on it. But this is not the way to go right here. Like, this is fucking insanity.
Yeah, like what should be in this course is like, do you hold the door open for white people and black people? Do you not hold the door open for white people? And do you intentionally hold the door open for black people? Like, you could come up with simple logistical things, but this is abstract. Be less certain. Be less oppressive. I was kind of making a joke right there about the whole opening door
Yeah,
thing.
I get you.
You know, like if you see a black person, you're like, no, I got it. Everybody go. I don't want to be racist. It's like the opposite racist. Like,
Well,
this is
also goes back to, like, we talked about. Didn't we talk about math being racist
yeah, the
recently?
last episode. I was about to say like paychecks are going to be racist because that's math.
Right. Paychecks
And
gonna be everything's racist now.
like, where does it
Like,
start?
how is this gonna make a better world for all of us to live in together?
It makes people feel good that these measures are being taken, but is it going to work? And is that all it is? It's just a feel good thing, like a circle jerk. Because racist people are going to be more racist after they take this class. Non racist people don't need this class. So, what is the purpose of this?
I don't know, man. And
How?
so, go ahead.
I don't know. I just have a million questions and I can't articulate what I'm thinking because I can't wrap my head around this new world we live in. Try to be less white. It's hilarious. Confronting racism. Understanding what it means to be white, challenging what it means to be racist. In the US and other Western nations, white people are socialized to feel that they are inherently superior because they are white. Are they?
I don't feel like
Research,
I'm fucking superior to anybody else just because I'm fucking white.
it's the dumbest shit. Research, I mean, they should say in the US and other Western nations, racist white people are socialized to feel that they're inherent. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like all white people are just socialized in this way. What does that fucking mean? I was socialized. I have black friends, and I don't focus on the fact that they're black, but just this is like I was socialized with everybody. My
Yeah.
black friends were better than me everywhere, and it never made me mad. They were better at skating. They were stronger. They got more chicks. They were on the football team. People liked them more. They went to parties.
And
Do you
I'm
know?
not saying they don't have. I'm not saying that black people don't have unique struggles that we have, right?
Yeah,
Because
that's not
yeah,
what I'm getting at.
racism's a fucking real thing, man.
I'm
But
just
it's
talking about
like,
that
I
socializing
I I,
part.
I get what you mean. Yeah, I get it.
As far as socializing goes, it's been pretty non-biased for me. Research shows that by age 3 to 4, children understand that it's better to be white. Why don't we talk to our mainstream news companies that are constantly pushing racist narratives, like that whole uh, anti-Islam, anti-Middle East narrative that made everyone racist leading up to 9/11 and after? You know,
Right.
like how about we talk about? Dude, I watched Gringo the other day on Amazon. I turned it off because it was super racist and the jokes weren't even good. I mean, it was literally like asking the black person in the movie if he wanted fried chicken.
Oh my God.
And it's featured on Amazon. It's like you're gonna bring this to employees at Coca-Cola while mainstream news that spins these race narratives. Like, I mean, and it's like this isn't even directed at the right people. Is Joe Biden taking this class? Does Kamala Harris have to take this class?
It's yeah, they're in racism is permeating just about every fucking news story, and it's almost like they're trying to divide us with these narratives. Okay, so for example, also, so you know the story about that older Asian man that got shoved to the ground and died, right? But he
Mm-hmm.
got shoved to the ground by a black kid and died. And you know what they did? They organized a march against they basically blamed it on white supremacy and organized a march against white supremacy.
I'm sure
You
the
know,
news had a lot to do with that.
it's like there was not even a white person involved in that incident.
Really?
It was a black teen shoving an Asian man down, but it was white supremacy's fault that the attack took place. And I think the thought process behind it was because you had people like Trump that were perpetuating racism against Asians with comments like kung flu and stuff like that. It led to this mindset that caused this teen to have this violent action against this Asian man and killed him. So it's white supremacy's fault.
Mm-hmm.
What? What? All right.
This white supremacy gets thrown around a lot.
Yes. It's the shutdown argument, you know.
Bro, speaking of people eating up modern propaganda and bullshit science, I was picking up some food the other night and they had it closed off at the front door with tables.
Hmm.
So it wasn't a lot of area. When I walked up, there was a girl. It was snowing. It was cold. I was like, ooh, it's cold. Girl standing outside. I said, hey, did they help you yet? She's like, no, I'm just waiting. There's so many people in there. Okay. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I will go in. Long story short, she pops in the door and she's like, I've been waiting for my food for 30 minutes. And the guy's like, what's the name on the order? Ba ba ba. He comes back and he's like, just a minute. So she goes back out the door. And when she goes out, she's like, it doesn't feel safe in here. It's not 6 feet. And she closes the door and everyone's like, what the fuck is this bitch's problem? Where, like, we got masks. That's why, she was at the Black Lives Matter protest wearing a mask, feeling safe because masks, you know what I'm saying? The whole
Hmm.
thing at that time was that COVID's not spreading during the protest because the masks. And
Right.
that same person again, Here we go again. Shows up and doesn't trust the masks. Dude, Karma's a bitch though, because he came back and he said, "We don't have your order. Do you want to order it now?" She's like, "I ordered it online 40 minutes ago. I've been standing outside for 40 minutes. I don't feel safe in here. This is not 6 feet. No, I don't want to order again." And she walked out and left. I said, "Yes, yes, that's what you get for like if you're gonna order online." I don't trust that. I just call them.
I order online.
I don't trust it. I call them. I do it for Domino's. I know they got it going on, but just like just family owned restaurant. I don't know. I'm
Oh, well,
just
I mean, if I order online, I pay online. I have a receipt to show. I just go in there with the fucking receipt. I'm like, hey, here's my order. Just need to pick it up. If they don't have it, cool. Hey, you know what? I'll wait, but I've already paid, so I'm gonna pick. It's whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, that bitch is stupid.
She waited for 30 minutes outside the door while other people are constantly walking past her going in. She thinks the world's gonna kiss her ass and like, oh, you want to come in? It's your turn now. Girl standing outside with the mask. I saw another girl the other day, 2 masks. She had the surgical mask and then like a beautiful one over it. 2 masks, bro. People are really buying this shit. 2 masks outside. 2.
I'm not wearing 2 masks. So it becomes a law,
About wearing
which it
2.
might. It might. I might have to wear 2 masks at work. Who knows?
Damn, dude. That's the
What fucking
hardest part
purpose?
is like, so I have a dog walking client. I go to them frequently. They wear the mask, so I wear the mask. But then
Yeah.
sometimes they don't wear the mask, but I'm wearing the mask. And it's like, on the inside, I'm the opposite of a person who wants to wear a mask. But at work, I'm Mr. Mask, and it fucking sucks. It's like this internal conflict, man.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm gonna get a "this is bullshit" mask. That'll clear everything up.
there you go. Then you can express your feelings and comply with society's new standards. But yeah,
I sh-
so this whole the way this whole thing is going is sliding in a direction that's pretty scary for me.
feel you.
And I know what the other side was saying. Oh, poor white guys on this podcast talking about how it's getting scary. I'm like, I'm not worried about for myself. I just think it's a poor way for society to start viewing each other,
Yeah,
right, as the other all the time. It's
yeah.
like they're literally driving a wedge between all between the races and expecting that to solve racism.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing because w- the the burden of responsibility for climate change and fossil fuels is put on the civilians of the world, when in reality, it's the top 100 companies that are responsible for like 75%, right?
Right.
So, but the burden of responsibility is on us. We're made to think it's our fault while they get deregulated at a big government corporate level and then push this propaganda on us, because it's also these big companies, not the same literal ones, but it's made these racist classes and white supremacy and all this is the goal is the same, where it's our fault. It's not the fault of people like
The
Biden who have
media
created
and
the
the
media,
government
the crime laws
and
that
our
decimate
police
poor
state that we
communities.
have,
Yeah, it's not their fault. Like, do cops have to do this?
individual citizens' fault.
So the burden of
Everyone,
responsibility
all
of
the
all the
individual citizens are racists.
yeah, like the burden of responsibility for all the world's problems basically at the end of the day are put on the civilians, and it allows for more control because we're the ones walking on eggshells for issues that are perpetuated and made worse by the people enforcing these new. It's like what's up is down and what's down is up. And that's what's so tricky to get non awake people to get it. It's because the reality is the complete opposite. Really is the complete opposite. The very president they voted for, these liberals, is more responsible for systemic racism than obscure white guys that work at Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And the very companies that are pushing green this and green that and green this and fucking BP and like, oh, renewable energy sources. It's like you are responsible for
the carbon emissions that are that are affecting our climate right now.
and they're pushing the propaganda on individuals to prime us for the day when we have to pay carbon taxes and big companies that are responsible for it.
Corporations should be the ones fucking paying carbon taxes, not individual citizens.
They don't even pay taxes, much less carbon taxes. It's a really a ass backwards world.
Elon Musk was talking about that on his the most recent podcast he went on with Rogan about how he brought the fucking idea of introducing a carbon tax to the Biden administration, which is something that they ran on, right? The Green New Deal, green this, green that, green this, green that. Like, no, it's too hard to pull off. It's gonna be too hard to pull off. So he's like, yeah, but that's the only way to fix this problem is to.
He was pushing the carbon tax?
Yeah, he's pushing, well, like on corporations, right? He's like, I'm going to have to pay the carbon tax with SpaceX. And, it's not like I'm asking for a break, like, but it's what needs to happen in order for us to start taking these steps, right? And
the carbon tax,
it's gonna be too hard to pull off.
Carbon tax
like,
just
all right, well, you just gave lip service during your whole campaign about how you were going to get all these things done for the environment. You're going to join the Paris Climate Accord again and all this, but it has no teeth behind it. Like, it's just purely optics. It's all optics. Yeah. And they're not really trying to make a change there.
The carbon tax concept is a ridiculous concept anyway. You're not fixing the problem. You're just penalizing people and hoping that punishment deters them from, it's just the way to make money. They don't care about stopping the pollution. Pollute all day. You're just going to have to pay them. And the rich companies can afford it, and they'll probably get tax breaks. They're the ones putting it all out. We won't be able to afford it, so we'll have to take the fucking bus.
No, what Elon was saying was like, yes, for people that like give the citizens rebates on it, right? Like, he was more advocating for the corporations paying it and us getting rebates for that carbon tax, rather than go listen to it, and he'll do a lot better job articulating than I am doing right now. But it was just the thing of like, the whole Biden administration talks all this shit, but when it comes time to actually do anything about it, they're not really interested in fixing these problems at all. They're worried about staying in power and making money. That's it.
They're worried about doing what they have to do to please the people that are actually in power, pulling their strings.
Yeah, and I don't know who that is, but it's probably the Illuminati.
I think it's the CIA. The intelligence. Yeah, I mean, Reagan, or who was it? There's been a recent admission as well. It's the intelligence community that runs everything. Somebody came out, it was on news, and said Donald Trump would never do such and such because he'd have to deal with the intelligence community.
I remember.
And it's like, okay, this is
they're the wrong team to piss off, right? They said it on national TV, yeah.
It's the intelligence community that's behind everything.
Yeah.
With that super general statement, it's a good way to wrap up the show. I'll leave my Wednesdays open. I have this dog walking client in the day, so I'll leave it open on Wednesdays. So.
What do you mean leave it open?
Not do my dog walks on Wednesdays, so we can just have a more weird.
Yeah, I got you. I don't want you to miss out on money though, bro. Like, if I need to do it like after I get off of work, I get off work at usually 6 every day. So if you want to do it at night one day or something, we can do that.
Okay.
But I don't want to fuck your schedule up.
No, I mean, I should leave a day. Wednesday's usually when I take off anyway and do my thing and band practice and this or that. So if I didn't have the dog walk right now, I mean, we're kind of finishing right now anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, we're 2 hours in.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Good episode, man. You want to do another series of articles next week? And also,
I'll pick some out.
Dive?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, pick some out. If you
can send them soon. I had a rough week, like I said, so I was just, whatever. Yeah.
I probably got some hidden there too. So if you got a couple, I'll have a couple.
Yep.
I keep a reading list. I just add stuff to a reading list, and these episodes are going through that reading list for me. So I got some more sitting there. Do you have some already, or you're gonna have to go find some?
No, the only one that I read one this morning. It was.
Oh, don't say it yet.
Okay. All right.
Climate, okay.
No, it was a New York Times article that
Okay.
Matt Taibbi posted that I thought was pretty fucking
I saw one recently about
ridiculous.
how the reparations could have saved like hundreds of thousands of black lives for COVID, which I don't understand how reparations like 185,000 per family member of a black household, and that would have saved.
$185,000.
It's like 800,000 per household. It was like 280, or it was a large number that was being pushed by a New York Post or something. I'll have to find that article. Like if we would have done reparations, it would have saved so many black lives for COVID
How's
19.
how's
It's
money?
like
I mean,
exactly. I'm like, how does this work? How does that work? Where does reparations end? That's for the next episode. That's for the next episode. So good episode. Check out Golgothan. You guys are streaming on Twitch like every night. I
yeah,
see
we
it.
do it 5 nights a week.
Yeah, that's
We
badass.
each one of us does a night.
I like tuning in when I get home. I see y'all are on. Put it on. I just let the video games play. I do stuff around.
Yeah.
Hear you. Oh, fucking bullshit. Fuck this fucking gun. So,
Yep.
yeah, Alfred and the Tednators. Check out our music video, Lucky Little Quick Draw, to see the Yuba River. It's on YouTube. Subscribe to the Patreon. Ad-free audio there. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We know we got some people listening out there. They got some
Yeah.
ladies, too. Like 47% of the listeners are ladies. So,
Cool.
what's up, ladies? What's up,
Cool.
ladies? Yeah. Hit me up. Hit me up. I mean, hit us up on social media. Hit up our show.
We're both married.
Yeah. When did you get married? I didn't get your answer when I asked you on Twitch.
Oh, we got married 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Flew under the radar. Did you have like a big party and stuff?
No. We just did it. Just did it for the tax break.
Oh, right on, right on. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
congratulations.
we love each other and shit too, but
Yeah.
yeah. Thanks,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see you guys again next week. We're starting to put them out a little bit more frequently, and we're gonna probably do another episode on news articles next week, and we might do start a little deep dive here.
Mm-hmm.
We might do a little combination of both, right? Where we cover some news articles, cover a little bit of a deep dive, and maybe span it out over a couple episodes. That might be a good way to approach it.
Yeah, we'll start doing 5 and 6 hour episodes from now on.
I don't. Yeah, we can if we want to, but I'm sure I plan the day off for that then.
Yeah, that'd be fun. All right, man. Good episode.
All right,
See
for
you
sure,
next time.
man. Later, bro.
Later, bro.